You guys might have heard about this situation with the YouTube channel In Praise of Shadows, where this guy who runs the channel, I guess his name is Zayn, decided to make a 3.5 hour long video. Well, it's like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Almost 3.5 hour long video titled Bad Conservative Horror Movies. Now, where this gets really strange is this section he titles Chapter 4 Wendigoon, because In Praise of Shadows, aka IPOS, aka Zayn, basically used the entire video as a way of facilitating this hit piece against Wendigoon. And in doing so, he also smears a number of Wendigoon's friends, trying to basically paint them all out as like a bunch of far-right extremists.
If you're not aware, Wendigoon is a horror conspiracy theorist YouTuber with several million subscribers that, as you will hopefully come to see, should not be seen as the wholesome, southern-friendly dad persona that he has publicly constructed around himself in the past several years. And that, like many people who talk about being Christians as much as he does, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism.
He gets mad at Wendigoon for things such as wearing a Hawaiian shirt and saying Antifa members. He really didn't like that one. Oh, and he also doesn't like when Wendigoon's fans call him dad. I can only imagine the rage this guy would feel if he knew about Maury Calliope.
Dad says, do the dad or Takamori jokes bother you? Personally, I don't care about either beyond using them as fodder for good-natured teasing. If you haven't been receiving them that way, you have my sincerest apologies. Just say the word and I will happily stop. I don't really care. You guys do what you want. Do what makes you happy. Well, that's what it's about at the end of the day. I just want you guys to have fun.
Oh my gosh, did you hear that? We're clearly dealing with a far-right extremist. Okay, but really, back to In Praise of Shadows.
Also, it should be noted that the Boogaloo Boys are known for wearing Hawaiian shirts. And guess who else always has on a Hawaiian shirt, despite the fact that he publicly totally does not share in their beliefs, guys. And on top of this, people who are centrist, or on the left, do not use the phrasing Antifa members. Nobody talks about it. But don't you think it is extremely weird and off-putting that all of his fans call him dad? Isn't that really strange?
Now look, to be fair to this guy, much more fair to him than he's been to Wendigoon, I will say, of course, these clips are out of context. However, I'm not looking to have the whole 30-minute section that he made on Wendigoon replayed here in this video. You guys know I try to be brief and to the point. The other thing too is, with the full context, it's a minuscule amount better, if better at all. Ultimately, this guy was really just grasping at straws. And I find this situation particularly interesting because I've dealt with people like this Zayn guy myself. Reminds me of this group of friends, Parallax, Silly Rally, and Joey, who tried to make videos canceling me. Their points were a bunch of complete nothing burgers, but they tried to paint me out as some like evil far-right extremist. And that's already some like terminally online crazy behavior. But it gets even crazier because one of them, Silly Rally, later got exposed for being a child predator. Now I don't talk about politics that often, but on rare occasion I have mentioned that I don't support politicians on either side, because I find politicians on both sides to be highly corrupt and ineffective. And ultimately, I just think that humanity would be better off achieving a level where we don't need some corrupt governing body controlling us. Anyways, I apologize for the side tangent. As mentioned, there's just a lot of similarities I see between some of the stuff that I've dealt with and the stuff that Wendigoon and his friends are dealing with now because of Zayn. And I haven't even mentioned half of it. But let me get back to the main topic. So there's a section of In Praise of Shadows video, Zayn's video, where he also goes after Wendigoon's friends. I'm going to play a brief portion of Brandon Buckingham's response video and Turkey Tom watching that, because they were both mentioned, and they do a good job of condensing that section.
He spread this lie about me. Like the good guy he is, Wendigoon came to my defense in the comment section, which I sincerely appreciate. Love you, brother. But this self-righteous breadtuber really thinks that if you're friends with internet historian, donut operator, shoe on head, Oompaville, Mudahar, Garand Thumb, Turkey Tom, Brandon Herrera, or myself, then you are a bad person. Meaning, he probably thinks if you're
not just a bad person, like a far-right Nazi who supports genocide.
A lot of the people mentioned there have issued their own responses to this entire situation, so consider watching their videos for their full take and more thorough coverage on all of this. I'm of course just basically giving you a TLDR here. And so long story short, Zayn's video began to get more and more backlash for essentially being some bad faith hit piece, and arguably even attempting to incite violence against Wendigoon.
And the thing that people kept saying to me in all of this was, why do you even care? Which, if you watch the comments under the video, I guarantee you will happen again, with takes like, oh, he's just a YouTuber. Why does it matter? Or, so what if he's a conservative? Is that a problem? Which, the answer to that is yes. But the reason that I care is because this does not belong in horror, or anywhere. I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces, or even, just in public in general. I think that these things clearly showcase a repeated pattern, in my opinion, of racism and homophobia, while on top of that, being very irresponsible and dangerous with his large platform.
The zero self-awareness, man, the irony of this guy saying dangerous and irresponsible with his platform as he basically advocates people to do something to Wendigoon if they see him in public. Now let's talk about how this all went for Zayn, how this all concluded. So he went on Twitter issuing a statement that many view as a complete non-apology and basically attempts to only play victim, later on protecting his entire account. He made a similar sort of statement over on his YouTube community tab, and you can see some of the responses here, archived by Critical Shotgun on Twitter, because ultimately Zayn also deleted that community tab post. But he wasn't done there. He also addressed the situation over on his Patreon account, where once again, he doesn't really take responsibility for the mistakes he made in that video, and that he actually thinks the video still did some good, and that his biggest mistake was basically that he didn't spend more time on it, that the video just needed more time in the oven. Oh, and he also complains about his channel, complains about his views being down over recent years. And it's like, okay man, sorry to hear about that, but you really shouldn't take it out on other people by making some like bad faith terminally online hit piece. It also doesn't help Zayn that he's apparently been on Discord, more or less doubling down on the video, saying that he still thinks he's ultimately right, just that he maybe didn't handle this the right way. Maybe. So as we near the conclusion of this, he at some point deleted the entire Wendigoon section from his video, and some point after that ended up deleting the entire video itself. But as mentioned, despite that, it seems like he still essentially stands by everything he said in the video, more or less. He just doesn't want to keep the video up on his channel anymore. He's more intent on complaining about Wendigoon and his friends over on Discord, I guess. Looking at the situation from the outside, the whole thing seems so unnecessary. Like, why did Zayn even do this? Well, I think we might be able to answer that question. Let's play this brief portion from the beginning of the Wendigoon section.
On a base level, his work has never been of personal interest to me. We share a similar focus on topics that we like to write about, but our similarities basically end there.
So, running through this now, he views Wendigoon as someone who operates in a similar space on YouTube that he does. And once again, Zayn was apparently on his Patreon account, talking about his channel's slow decline algorithmically, and that's built a genuine sadness in him that's followed him around a lot. He also views Wendigoon as some evil far-right figurehead of sorts.
Has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism. So what if he's a conservative? Is that a problem? Which, the answer to that is yes. I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces, or even, just in public in general.
So I know I played that clip earlier, but, like, dang, dude, that's such a... I can't believe that dude actually said that. Like, in my opinion, it's pretty clear what's going on here. This is a dude who doesn't like Wendigoon, who's trying to act like he's morally superior to Wendigoon, and he views him as a competitor of sorts. More so, though, he views Wendigoon as someone who's more successful than he is, and that's made him extremely spiteful. It's just like some of the people who tried to cancel me. They stand on this fake soapbox of morality, acting like they're morally superior to others. But in actuality, they're morally decrepit. They're deeply unhappy people who would rather take their frustration and anger out on others with nonsensical, crazy hit pieces. And they do that instead of looking inside, looking internally, and fixing the problems going on with their own lives. Hopefully Zayn will make a positive change in his life, because this is not a good road to go down. Hopefully he sees how unwise all of this has been. But let me know what you think about the situation in the comments. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. And I also apologize for this video coming out a bit late. I'm kind of getting this topic late. You guys know I like to make shorter videos. I just haven't had the time to make this one until now. But if you enjoyed my coverage, consider giving a like and or a subscription. Appreciate your support. And once again, if you do want to see longer coverage on this topic, there's been a lot of people who've also covered this one, so consider checking out their videos too. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one, and have a great rest of your day.